Now, there were a few big developments to come out of Monday Night Raw this week, including some tense face-offs between the likes of Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, and one between the Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. But really, all that fans were buzzing about regarding Raw this week was the World Heavyweight Championship match between Jinder Mahal and Seth Rollins, with a lot of fans feeling as though Jinder had a legit chance to pull off the massive upset and win the world title, or that we would at least get a Damian Priest Money in the Bank cash-in. But while neither of those two scenarios happened and Seth Rollins retained the World Heavyweight title, unfortunately it looks as though Seth Rollins could not only be losing his title after all, but missing WrestleMania 40 and the Dream feud with CM Punk as well, and Raw General Manager Adam Pearce may very well be forced to make the tough decision to strip Seth Rollins of that World Heavyweight title and give that belt to the next in line, which is the current Money in the Bank briefcase holder Damian Priest. So join us as the Sports Entertainer looks at the wild rumor regarding Adam Pearce awarding Seth Rollins' vacated World Heavyweight Championship to Damian Priest following Raw this week, why it's gonna happen, and all the major implications in WWE that will come from this as we get closer to WrestleMania 40. So the World Heavyweight title match on Raw this week between Jinder Mahal and Seth Rollins probably wasn't originally planned to have as much hype and suspense surrounding it. WWE likely would have thought of Jinder as a nice little title defense for Seth Rollins heading into the Royal Rumble, but Tony Khan blasting WWE on social media with his tirade put a lot more hype on the match, and made some fans suspect that WWE could have possibly put the World Heavyweight title on Jinder just to spite Tony Khan and AEW, but that didn't happen, and it didn't happen because WWE never planned for Jinder to win the title, nor were Triple H and WWE going to change the plans just to get back at AEW. We're just about to enter the true road to WrestleMania, and WWE were not going to confuse things by having Rollins lose his world title right now, which could have made his eventual feud with CM Punk less momentous if Rollins is losing and regaining the belt in the process, so Jinder was never going to win the title. However, what happened on Raw this week with Seth Rollins injuring his knee, you might as well should have put the world title on Jinder Mahal because Seth Rollins is injured, and his WrestleMania 40 future is now completely in jeopardy. In fact, one of our insider sources has reported that Seth's injury could very well be serious, and serious enough to force WWE and Raw General Manager Adam Pearce to make Seth Rollins vacate the World Heavyweight title. Quote, "So what we know right now is that it's looking as though Seth Rollins' injury was worse than originally thought. Now you guys probably are well aware of Seth Rollins' past injury issues with his legs. Seth severely injured his right knee back in 2015, tearing his ACL, MCL, and meniscus, which forced Rollins to the sidelines for months and caused him to vacate the WWE Championship he had at the time, as well as Rollins being forced to miss WrestleMania 32 as a result. Now, as sad as it sounds, the same scenario looks like it could be happening in 2024 as we head into WrestleMania 40 season. Seth Rollins has injured his leg again, only this time the left leg instead of the right, and it's looking like the same sort of injury was sustained on Raw this week during his match against Jinder. Now, for any fans worried as to whether or not Jinder Mahal has taken any blame for this behind the scenes, we have been told Jinder isn't being blamed whatsoever backstage, and Rollins' injury is seen as just a truly unfortunate occurrence. Now, if Seth Rollins is going to be out of action for several months, which again is looking very possible, that World Heavyweight Championship is going to be taken away from Rollins just like the WWE title was back in 2015. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Definitely a terrible situation for WWE. The company had everything already planned and creative for the Rollins-Punk feud for WrestleMania 40, and now it's all went up in smoke, which has upset a lot of important people backstage in WWE, as you would expect, as the second biggest match planned for WrestleMania 40 behind The Rock and Roman Reigns, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, is likely off the table. Our insider source continued by discussing what is being talked about backstage in WWE if worse comes to worse and Seth Rollins will be out of action past WrestleMania 40, and how Triple H plans to deal with this terrible situation. Quote, "Well, we've heard rumblings that if Seth Rollins is going to be missing out on, 8 to 9 months of television time to have surgery and recover from the knee injury, which would obviously mean Rollins is missing WrestleMania 40, they simply can't afford to have Rollins hold on to the World Heavyweight Championship the whole time, and allow that world title, Raw's flagship belt, to miss being featured on WrestleMania 40, so yes, Rollins would be vacating or relinquishing the World Heavyweight title in the near future on Raw, likely next week's edition of the show, as the company have plans of that world title being featured at the 2024 Royal Rumble. Now, one scenario that is reportedly being discussed internally in WWE Creative right now is having Adam Pearce announce on Raw that Seth Rollins will be vacating the World Heavyweight title, and unlike most times when there would be a tournament of some kind, or superstars competing in a match for the vacant championship, Triple H is apparently keen on the idea of Adam Pearce awarding the World Heavyweight title to Damian Priest in exchange for his Money in the Bank contract and briefcase, basically a trade-off. As crappy as this situation is, if Seth Rollins is going to be out of WWE for the first half of 2024, Triple H feels this gives WWE the perfect opportunity to reward Damian Priest and give him the World Heavyweight title, something that apparently was not in the plans prior to Seth's injury. WWE apparently didn't plan for Damian Priest to cash in that briefcase successfully prior to WrestleMania 40 because of the other plans they already had in place with Punk and Rollins, nor was there any talks of Damian cashing in after WrestleMania 40, so it either would have been a failed cash-in by Priest at some point, or Damian cashing in on a mid-card championship. However, now WWE have the opportunity to give Damian Priest a short run with the World Heavyweight title with this unfortunate Seth Rollins injury situation, and that's apparently the direction WWE are likely headed. Now, the question probably a lot of fans would ask would be, well, is Damian going to be a long-term champion going into WrestleMania 40? While we don't know the exact answer to that question, we can only assume that wouldn't be the case, and Priest would only be a transitional champion, potentially losing the belt at the 2024 Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber 2024 at the latest. But yes, we can say that Damian Priest trading in his Money in the Bank contract for the vacant World Heavyweight title is being discussed internally with Triple H and Creative right now, so definitely a strong possibility of that happening. Again, if this does happen, expect it to happen on Raw next week, once we have more details on Seth's injury and if it will in fact keep him out of action well past WrestleMania. Now let us know your thoughts down in the comments section below regarding the legitimate possibility of Raw General Manager Adam Pearce awarding Damian Priest the World Heavyweight Championship in exchange for his Money in the Bank briefcase, if in fact Seth Rollins is going to be missing a lot of TV time in WWE because of his unfortunate knee injury from Raw this week. Do you think Damian Priest should just be utilized as a transitional champion and have him lose the World Heavyweight title at the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, or do you feel like Damian should get a proper run with the gold if WWE do decide to move in this rumored direction? Let us know. Well guys, that's it for today's major wrestling news. Make sure you leave a like and comment, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you'll never miss out on an episode. Finally, if you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter at TSE Wrestling, and we will see you guys in the next video.